Let's check out today's conversation. To kick off season 3, Mike sits down with agency owner Tony DiFilippo. We get to experience the forging of Tony's mental toughness, beginning with the harsh news he received as a senior in high school.
They narrowed it down to 3 potential diagnoses. 2 of the 3 were considered terminal within the next 12 to 16 months.
To the grit he cultivated as a new agent.
And just ran appointments.
Wow.
For 2 weeks, slept in Walmart Supercenter parking lots because you wouldn't get kicked out of those.
To taking on the biggest responsibility of his life.
It's my turn. These people are not here now. So who's going to step up for the family and be able to help everybody?
All of this coming up next on the Level Up Lifestyle.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Level Up Lifestyle podcast. I'm your host, Mike Sheets, coming to you live from Globe Life Studios in McKinney, Texas. Can you believe it? It's season 3, and our theme this season is mental toughness. So we're going to talk about all those moments in your journey that create mental toughness. How do you develop it? Where does it come from? How do you apply it and grow with it throughout your career? So excited to get into this topic. It's going to be great. And with me today is our very special guest, Tony DiFilippo. Hey, Tony.
Hey, Mike.
How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Good. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So Tony, for everyone listening, Tony, you are an agency owner with Globe Life Liberty National Division. You have an office in St. Louis. That's kind of like your main hub. That's where you live, St. Louis.
Yep.
And you have an expansion office in Kansas City.
Yes, sir.
As well. You've been an agency owner for how long?
Be 8 years.
8 years now as an agency owner, and you've been with the company kind of total
20 years.
20 years. It goes by fast, doesn't it?
It does go by fast.
Isn't that crazy? Think here 20 years now. And by the way, you just promoted an agency owner as well, which is kind of a neat thing to have as part of your legacy, right? Providing this opportunity to other people as well. So Amanda is down in Tampa.
Yeah, absolutely. So proud of Amanda. Well deserved.
Absolutely.
Well-deserved.
Well, and a great job by you and helping her get to that point as well. So anyway, Tony, let's jump into it. Let's talk about your journey. Let's talk about where you come from, some of those moments that create that mental toughness, what it means to you and how you use it. I know we've got a lot of really good things that I want to get into. So why don't you just kind of start us out? Tony, what's your story? How did you, where did you come from, kind of moving up and then getting into the business?
Sure. So originally from Springfield, Missouri.
Okay.
Born and raised down there. My dad was a hard worker. Definitely the person that I kind of modeled my work ethic after.
What did he do for work?
So he was a manager / director with Bass Pro Shops, actually.
Oh, okay.
And then after that with Low Boats.
Okay.
For a little while.
So you always had like the best fishing gear of any of the kids growing up or things like that, right?
The irony of it is we weren't a fishing family.
Okay.
So we had access to these things, but we were more baseball, football.
Sure.
That was kind of what we did.
Okay. So you played sports growing up as a kid, moving, yeah.
Played baseball for a while, football for a while. My frame wasn't really designed for sports, I don't think. 5'9", 100 and nothing, tough to be out there, with the Giants, but
sure.
Loved the competitive nature of sports, loved the team camaraderie and culture. And those are things that stay with me today.
There's a lot of those carryover into our business. I think in anything in leadership, when you're leading a team, when you're leading a group, some of those elements that you gain from sports really play in.
Yeah.
So, at some point, it's interesting to kind of just hear everyone's story and like, how did you get to the insurance industry? Because it's not the big glamorous thing. You're in high school playing football or baseball or whatever and telling your teammates, man, I can't wait to go be an insurance agent. I'm sure that's not how it went. So like, what was the path that led you onto this? I'm assuming you go to college and then from there, like what was that like?
Well, I think I was destined to be in sales of some type because, in I think it was 6th grade, I got in a little bit of trouble by Miss Polly Copper, the principal, who I was very good friends with as an ADHD child growing up.
First name basis,
many visits to her fine office.
You don't have to ask for directions to go to the principal's office. Yeah,
actually like an express lane for me.
Yeah,
straight to her office. But I started saving up my money from allowance and some lunch money, and I would go out and I would buy these multi-pack gum packs, right?
Okay.
I'd ride my bike up to the store on the weekend, get these like 8-10 packs.
You're buying it in bulk.
Yeah. And so then I'd come back to school, and at recess, I would sell them for $1 a pack.
Okay.
Having spent, $2, it was a pretty good profit. You didn't have, back then, it wasn't the vending machines and those kind of things.
Sure.
So supply and demand, that was my first, seeing what supply and demand meant in real life.
This is like gum is not allowed in schools.
It's a bit
especially back then, right?
It's a bit of contraband.
Yeah. So you're not only in sales, but you're selling contraband. So
I'm just trying to make people's lives a little better,
right?
At school, nothing wrong with a little hubba bubba,
filling in a need. People need gum, right?
There's a needs based approach.
They're gonna buy it from somewhere.
So, but I can remember that only lasted about 2 weeks, and then I made the journey back to the principal's office again. Got there, and she said, "So Tony, do you know why you're here?" And I'm running the list through my head.
It could be multiple reasons.
Well, you certainly know, so why don't you tell me? So she said, "It's come to my attention that you're selling gum on school premises, and we can't have you do that." Oh, well, I'm sorry. And she said, "But I do appreciate your something like entrepreneurial spirit,
right?
So here's what I'm going to do." And she put $1 on her desk and slid it over to me. She said, "I'm going to buy the last pack of gum you're going to sell here, right?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." Took the $1. That was it.
You didn't come back and say, "Well, that last pack's 10.
So
I might have to hard close you right now. If you're shutting me down, I need, something to carry me through
if you're cutting this off, I'm going to have to go at least 5.
Yeah.
So, but that was my first experience with understanding, sales, I guess.
Yeah.
And then from there, in junior high, I would bungee the gas can to the mower.
Okay.
And I just pull that thing behind me through the neighborhoods, and every yard that I saw that had 4 inches or more of grass, I'd go up and knock the door and answer the door. "Hey, $20, I'll mow your front yard. $20, I'll mow your backyard, or $30, I'm mowing both." And that was how I made a living. I made money, right? To be able to have things I wanted, where some of my other friends, I want this game, or I want, these shoes or whatever. But
so this is coming from more of a desire of you wanting more for you, just even in the, this grade school, middle school, high school years. Like if you got to, obviously your parents are doing well enough, right? But I want the new shoes. I want this video game. I want this kind of kid lifestyle. So you're out there hustling, trying to get it. That's where that's coming from.
If you want something, go get it.
Yeah.
It's life is not a spectator sport.
Did that mindset just kind of always live within you, or was that something that you just from watching your dad or seeing other people? Where does that come from?
I think a lot of it came from seeing the people in my life having a great work ethic. My dad would be up and out of the house before I even got up for school. And then he'd be back at 6:30 at night. My grandpa Rocco, same thing. He had a tremendous work ethic. I would have discussions with my dad about him. And so I had good work ethic modeled in my life, which I think helped me to realize good
want something, go get it.
Yeah, that's right. Good things come to those who wait, but better things come to those who go out and get them.
Right, right. So going through high school, then moving into college, what are you going to school for? What's the plan at this point?
So, marketing and management.
Okay.
I think that's the default college major, right?
Sure.
So I'm senior year in high school, and I'm thinking about college, and have this path in my head, but got a little derailed. And what derailed me was when I was 18. I wasn't feeling great. Came in from football practice and was having some issues. Went to the nurse. Nurse sent me to the hospital. Come to find out through some tests, had a rare kidney disorder.
Oh, wow.
I got diagnosed with.
This is in high school then?
This is in high school.
Okay.
18. I can see it clear as day. I thought everything is on track, college in the future, all these things, right? And then just smacked upside the head by life happens, right? And so we're going to these doctors, and we're going to specialists, nephrologists, and all these different guys and ladies, and they finally narrow it down from doing multiple tests, and they narrow it down to three potential diagnoses.
Okay.
2 of the 3 were considered terminal within the next 12 to 16 months.
Wow.
Without some type of transplant intervention or this kind of thing. So that was tough, man. That was about 2 weeks of having to wait and figure out which of these things is it.
Yeah.
And
what does that do to your psyche when you're 18 and your life is great and you're having fun playing football, hanging out with friends, getting ready for college, and then, hey, you might die in the next year or two if XYZ doesn't happen. I mean, what happens to the psyche for you in that moment?
So I think, for me, I immediately thought, and I think most people probably do, why me? And
sure,
how's this happening? And all these things. And then once you move past the feeling sorry for yourself part, then you move into, all right, well, what am I going to do about it?
Did you have to force yourself out of the feeling sorry for myself part? Like, is that a moment? You were talking about mental toughness, right? I think it's easy to just get stuck in the wallow. Why me? This is so terrible. So was it a natural thing that happened to you, or did you have to say, get out of it, let's move on?
It definitely took a little bit of, it's tough at 18. You're not equipped with a lot of life experience yet that you can draw on. And so it took me a little bit to make sure that I had the right mindset, which was, this has happened, accept it, and now assess our options, and then pick the one and move forward. It taught me in life, no one's going to save you. That's not life. The obligation is you save yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And I got to a point where I just said to myself, look, whatever it is, you're going to give 100% to try to make this right. You got hopes, you got dreams, you got, goals. This is a speed bump. It's not a wall.
So you go from why is this happening to how do I get out of it, or how do I get over it?
How do I get over
a better way,
right?
Yeah.
And
so what was what was the ultimate diagnosis? Obviously, you're doing well here. You made it.
Yeah. They came back and they said, okay, it's IgA nephropathy, which is the best of the three, manageable, these kind of things. And I kind of felt like that was a second chance.
Sure.
And so the rest of my life, it put in perspective. It didn't matter how hard the day was or what I was going through or the challenge or whatever. I could draw on the fact that, am I dying today? Nope. All right. Let's get out there and live.
Yeah.
That helped me.
Is that something that you still have to kind of deal with though now? Are you managing it today, or is it you got over it and it's kind of a...
So it will never go away. It affects my immune system.
Okay.
So, I just have to be mindful if I get sick, take care of myself, those kind of things. But I'll take that. There's a lot of people with a whole lot worse circumstances and things that they have to deal with to try to get through life. So for me to have just a hitch in my giddy up, so to speak, it's not going to stop me from getting to my destination.
Right, absolutely. So, and it almost seems like it's kind of foundational for you in a way that, like what you said, what were the problems of today, and they're not what they could have been when you were 18.
Yeah.
And do you kind of live life a little bit more eyes wide open, a little bit more accepting of things and appreciative?
Very appreciative. To me, I'm not a big stuff guy, but I'm a big adventure and story guy. I would rather, in my days, not necessarily in a mansion, but with a wall full of pictures of adventures and places that we've gone and things that we've done. And, I think it gave me perspective on don't waste your life.
It's kind of rooted from there.
Yeah.
So, one thing that maybe a lot of people don't know about you is that you're in the process of getting your pilot's license as well, right? So, it's one of those, I'm assuming this is kind of part of that, right? Just something you always wanted to do?
Yeah. I wanted to actually join the Air Force and be a pilot when I was younger. And then obviously the kidney thing came up, and then the recruiter told me, corrective eyesight, you're not going to be a pilot. Now you got laser surgery for that and all that kind of stuff. But that one kind of disappointed me because that was something I was interested in. My father was in the military.
Okay.
My grandpa Rocco was in the military. My other grandpa was in the military, so definitely a military family, right? So I've always had that, I guess, passion, and it took me 5 years to convince my wife
to let you do it,
to let me, and I showed her my PVFC.
Right,
and she was like, "No, you can fly now." So
you had to get. We'll get to there. The business had to get to a point before it's like, okay, you know what,
what's your renewal?
You can start taking these risks, right?
You can fly now. But it.
Which is really, it sounds like it's given you that just perspective in everything.
It has,
right?
It has.
And go out and live your best life. So go back to when you're 18. You find out, okay, it's not the
I'm
end.
not dying, which is good.
We can manage it. Then, did you go to college at that point, or did you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you do college.
We went to college
for business. Come out, and then what's life like at this point for you?
So get out of college. 5 years in college, 2-year degree. Was very good at social life, all of those things.
So 5 years in a associates.
You got it.
Yeah. Okay.
That's right. And lots of credits in other Jeopardy knowledge topics.
How many times did you change your major in college?
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little indecisive. Right?
Yeah. I wanted to know everything.
Yeah.
Got out of college, started working at Dillard's department store.
Okay.
Got engaged to my wonderful wife, Kathy.
Okay.
And that's my why, her and my daughter, Lydia. That's what drives me.
Sure.
But I got to Dillard's, and the reason I was there is they had an assistant store manager program.
Okay.
Right. And always had an advancement and promotion mindset, so came on board, did everything they asked me to do, and then some. 3 years goes by. Finally, the position comes available. I'm told to apply for it, so I do. General manager starts the team meeting, says, hey, I'm going to introduce everybody to our new assistant store manager. So I'm excited. They get up there and say, please, everybody, welcome Nicole. I don't think they pronounced my name right.
That's not how you say Tony.
That's right. DiFilippo, I get. That one's hard to get, right? But Tony's pretty easy. So I get through that meeting, and then we have the meeting after the meeting, which of course is the meeting minus the people that can fire you. You just don't invite them to that meeting. So we find out that Nicole had been there about 1.5 years, about half as long as me. Nowhere close to the same numbers.
3 years you've worked towards. This is my goal. This is where I got the degree, I've got the work ethic, I've got the time. And you're making commission while you're, what department were you in Dillard's?
I was in men's suits.
Okay.
And the reason I wanted men's suits is it was really one of the only departments that would pay you commission.
Okay. You're a little bit of control.
Yeah.
From an income standpoint. You're probably doing well, I would think, comparatively for the position and, what you're doing. And
it was, it was good enough that I put my hat in for the promotion, right? And I was told to. So, so once they give the promotion, and I say give, not get, to Nicole, do some talking and find out, half as long as me, 1.5 years, what the heck, man? So how did this person not earn this promotion? And well, it turned out that she was the niece of the general manager. So that was my first instance of nepotism. Yeah. Like, I didn't know what that meant back then. But I could tell you what
how it feels.
Oh, I could tell you what it felt like at that point, right? And so that was not my last physical day at Dillard's, but it was my last mental day.
So how did it feel?
It felt like somebody took my value and just said, you know what, we're going to put you at 0. And all of the things that I did, all of the extra hours that I worked for, inventory, stick around and do inventory until 2 a.m. and then turn around and open up and be there at 8 a.m. to open it up. All these things that
sacrifices that you're making
in the pursuit of promotion and advancement and betterment of myself and my position. And it felt like none of that mattered.
You feel unrecognized or
100%.
Yeah.
And that was, looking back now, that was another one of those character defining moments in my life that helped me understand you need to find something that puts you in control. Don't let other people be in control of your success and your promotion. And so that's when I went looking. And I knew I'd had enough really bad JOBs, just over brokes, what that is, that I wanted a career. And I wanted a career that really had 3 things for me. That had, I wanted promotion based on results, not on relationships. I wanted to have a pathway to retirement so that at some point I could, be on a warm beach with a cold drink instead of in an office or a conference room. And I wanted to feel like I was helping people. I wanted to find something that, I really felt like I was doing good. And to me, helping people is that emotional satisfaction that I was after. And
so how'd you get into this industry? Are you putting your
I went
resume online and they call you and the whole thing, or did you go out seeking it, or what?
So ultimately what happened was I got an RMS call.
Okay.
Right.
And so for people that don't know what that is, so RMS is this program within Globe Life, right? At the time, it was United American, right? Was the company that brought you in, as one of the 5 companies that Globe owns. And RMS is you post a resume online, it's going to end up in this program, and then the leadership in the office is going to get it, and they're going to make a phone call, basically. So you post your resume on Monster or Career Builder, and we're gonna know about it. And so that's where you come in.
That's where I came from. So I come in for an interview in Springfield, Missouri, in Jeff Miller's agency. And like you said, at that time, it was United American. So come in, do the interview. While I'm there, I realize I know one of the managers.
Oh, really? Okay.
And they were doing pretty well for themselves. New bass boat and truck, and all
your dad may have sold him, even, right?
It's possible.
Maybe he sold him the bass boat.
Maybe.
Right? Yeah.
He. How do I say this? He was good, but there's a fine line between arrogance and confidence, right? But I felt like I could do better.
Was it almost like you knew this person when, and then now you see them now and you think, exactly. Oh, okay.
Like, okay.
They can do it.
So that was the day that I came on board. I agreed and started as an agent with UA.
And so when you're an agent here, you're individual market, you're going to people's homes.
Yeah.
Right. You're selling a product in the home.
Yep.
Long hours.
Oh man. Yeah.
So what was that first kind of foray into this type of a sales environment like for you?
So it was interesting as far as people taking the approach and knocking the doors and going and I did that initially. And then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try something a little different, and went to the office one day and just opened up the phone book, Yellow Pages. I don't know if you'll know what Yellow Pages are anymore, right?
Yeah, I feel like I need to reset that piece. There was an actual book that had all the phone numbers of everyone in the area in this book.
Exactly. So, so I started calling businesses because businesses are not on the do not call list.
Yeah.
So I could call through the businesses, whoever answered the phone. That was my potential prospect to try to schedule an individual appointment with.
Wow.
And it worked.
Yeah.
So then started running appointments, realized that I need to get my volume up. And so how do I get my volume up? Well, I expand my workday. You want more appointments, work more hours.
Work more hours,
right?
yeah. Right.
That's how it works, right? So really took that to heart and wanted to see what I could make happen. Plus, pending wedding coming, was very motivated.
Yeah, it's an expense.
It's expensive, you know. Weddings and babies, anything with that name on it, you're going to pay 10 times the price. So, so I got to work, and I can remember borrowing my dad's little RV, like a little camping RV.
Okay.
And I started in Springfield, and I took it for 2 weeks, and I just went on the insurance tour, and I drove 3 different states and just ran appointments.
Wow.
For 2 weeks, slept in Walmart Supercenter parking lots because you wouldn't get kicked out of those. And
so how do you keep yourself going in those moments? Because that's hard, right? There's not coming home for 2 weeks, or sleeping in a truck stop or a Walmart parking lot, just because it's you're already out there. Like where is that rooting from for you? How do you overcome that kind of mental challenge, and where does the desire or the mental toughness to get through that, where's that coming from?
So it's funny that you mentioned the truck stop. I actually couple nights I slept in my car in truck stops just because I was turning around a late appointment that I got with a second shifter, and set that appointment at 11 p.m. You get done with that appointment at 1 a.m. and I've got another appointment at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm 3 hours away. That math doesn't make sense. So, in the beginning, trying to build that renewal. So find a truck stop and sleep in that car, run in the bathroom, Navy shower, onto the appointment. Where do you find that kind of stuff? It's how bad do you want it? I wanted to improve my life. I wanted to have opportunities and security for my family. Money isn't everything. I understand that. The number one things in life are free: love, companionship, friends. Right? Number two things cost a lot of money: house, car, education. And money is really opportunity and security for your family. I was in a situation where we were going to get married, and we needed a place. The place that we were in was a bit of a dump. A little concern as to, at night, make sure the doors are locked, that kind of stuff. So I think it came from a place of wanting better for me and my family.
Just that the desire.
Yeah. I mean, if it was going to happen, it was up to me. And if I was going to change my circumstance, then that was going to happen with action and not words. And the person responsible for that action is me. Now, the good news is I also get to have and enjoy the results of that action. So,
right. Well, it's a strong mindset in a way of not settling when things are hard.
Yeah.
Right. And saying, I'm going to go through this. I'm going to attack this challenge head on or whatever. So you're doing this. Obviously, you're doing well. You're sacrificing. You're leaning into the work, right? Yeah. But it's paying off, and eventually you're promoted into a position of agency owner.
Yeah.
Right. So you're one of the unique people. You've been promoted to agency owner more than once.
I have.
Right. So you can read between the lines, but we're going to go between the lines here too. So
no.
So your first time being an agency owner, what was that kind of experience like, and where did that path take you?
So it taught me a lot, for sure, right? My experience first as an agency owner was, okay, I'm good at sales, right? I'm good at leading people's accountability and these kind of things. Understanding how to run the business entirely with office staff and, just the things that you
be the business owner.
To be the owner, right?
That's different than sales.
It's a different animal.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was probably the biggest struggle, was the transition of the ownership piece versus the sales manager piece.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like we got off to a good start. I started to figure some of those things out, making progress, and then life happens again, right? My dad gets diagnosed with end-stage COPD. Had already had it and had been struggling with it, but it got to the point where if there wasn't a transplant, then the next couple of years that was gonna be it.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, that's my mentor. That's the person that has demonstrated and really modeled the behavior to be a productive.
So are you in an agency? You're in a location separate from your dad, then, right?
Kansas City.
So you're in Kansas City, and he's in Springfield.
Yeah,
which is what,
3.5 hours, something like that.
Okay,
and so
close enough, but not close enough to be there and support on a daily basis or something like that. Yeah,
from that distance, and it got to the point where he got accepted to Duke Medical. It was the number one lung transplant facility at the time. I'm sure it's up there now still too. But it's Raleigh-Durham. It's
not in Springfield, Missouri.
It's not. It's on the other side of the country, and so had to make a choice. That was one of those moments in life where you got to decide what your priority is. And so in order to be able to meet that obligation for my father and take care of that situation, then, and I wouldn't even say obligation, I'd say responsibility, I had to resign that position in order to start traveling with him, to go back and forth to Raleigh-Durham. That was tough, man. We could only could only travel in the same little RV that I went around and sold insurance in, and parked down the street so nobody could see it, and walk up so they didn't know I was driving an RV. But it would take 3 days for us to drive from Springfield to Duke, because we'd have to stop, and you have to rest and those kind of things. So I can remember making that phone call. That was a tough day, man.
To resign.
Yeah. I was called Charo.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm sitting at my desk for probably 30 minutes, just trying to rehearse this call, trying to figure out, how do I say this? And then ultimately I just realized, listen, this is your responsibility. You just need to man up and do it. Right. I think we often know what the right decision is in our life, but we try to hem-haw around or justify or whatever, when in reality, if you just pull the trigger and get on with it, you can get past it. So call up Steve. Hey, Steve, got a situation with my family. This is what's happening with my father. I need to step back. And I think he thought initially it was like, okay, yeah, we'll make you an agency director or manager or whatever. And I was like, I think I need to be an agent.
You're just the whole thing.
Down.
Yeah.
All the way down.
Yeah.
I needed the time. I needed the flexibility. I knew that it was going to be, traveling out with my dad. It was 3 days to get there. It was a week out there every time we went, and it was 3 days back. So you're talking half a month every time we were going out there, and we were going out there every other month. So that's not fair to anybody in my hierarchy
that you're leading.
Right. That's not fair to them.
So what kind of pressure did that put on you now from a business standpoint? Because you still have bills, you still had a family, right?
Yeah.
You still had to, provide, and you got half the time to do it. So how do you separate the challenge that you have? Obviously you want to take care of your family, you want to take care of your father. You sacrificed your agency owner position to be able to do that. At the same time, you got half the time to get the work done. So how do you separate, all these things that are happening to you and the work that you have to do, and you have half the time as anyone else to do it?
Well, one thing I would say is hook theory would be very applicable here as far as.
So talk about the hook theory, because you've told me about this, and I think it's a really unique application of handling kind of work-life balance in a way, or over, talk about mental toughness, right? I think it helps solidify. So talk about the hook theory.
Sure. So hook theory I got from a gentleman in the field when I first started in the business. Like I said, I was engaged. We had a wedding date. And so I was mindful of, how do I make sure that I have a successful long-term relationship, right? I'm an analytical person. So I wanted to know the data.
I would never guess that you tried to put data to a happy family life.
Crazy.
You have a spreadsheet that's tracking this probably.
Mike, there's an equation for everything. So
you have an epic dashboard of work-life balance, family happiness.
That's right. So I used to ask people, what's the secret? How do you, and it was things like, if you play together, you stay together, happy wife, happy life.
Kind of the cliche.
All these things, right?
Yeah.
And then I had this guy say, well, it's hook theory. That's what's helped me in my relationship and really even my business. I was like, well, what's that? He goes, well, when you came here on my business door.
So this is a business owner that you're working with. Yeah. Okay.
We'd made the transition at that point. We're doing work site, and he said, you may not have noticed it, but there was a little hook on my door. And he said, if you were to go to my home, you would notice a hook on my door at home as well.
This is like a coat hook or something.
Yeah, just like a little, like I have a little 3M hook that's on my office door, and then same thing on my door at home. And he said, what that does for me is when I get to the office and I see that hook on my door, it reminds me that that's where I need to hang all of my personal baggage and not take that in to my office with me, right? And then when I get home, I see that hook on my front door, and that reminds me that I need to hang all of my work baggage on that, and I need to be present in my home, right? Now, it doesn't work every day for me, but there are certainly times and days where it has helped me to realize, don't take the wrong bag in through the wrong door.
Yeah,
right?
That's so strong, right? I mean, especially some of these things are going on. I mean, I don't know if your mental state is challenged, right? Or you're kind of spiraling down this, oh my gosh, this is happening, that, and then you just see the hook and it's like, hey, come on.
Yeah, it just kind of snapped me into work mode, right? Versus, the personal side where maybe can feel sorry for myself a little bit and these kind of things. Business doesn't care about that.
Yeah.
Right. It's I don't want this to sound bad. It's an emotionless animal.
Yeah.
You get what you put into it, regardless of what's happening in your life.
But isn't that so much just kind of going on that theme of the mental toughness, right?
Yeah.
People feel like, oh, I have all these challenges or problems or obstacles, and it's an excuse as to why something is not happening, or I feel bad, or validate why you're not working. But like what you said, it's like the business doesn't care.
No.
And the work is not going to change. So you got to have that mental toughness to understand that and then go through it.
Yeah. Call your landlord or your mortgage company and tell them what you're going through and see what they say to you.
Yeah.
Right. So my obligations were still there. It didn't matter that the emotion was in my life. I still had to work through the emotion to meet my obligations.
So you got to hang it on the wall and move on.
That's right.
Yeah. So in this journey kind of with your dad, you reach a point where you're not going to be making these trips anymore, and then you're kind of come back home, or what?
Yeah. So a year go by. I'm an agent. I am out closing cases. To your point earlier about, I only have half the time.
Yeah.
Well, I better do twice the walk-ins. This business is a formula. Like you want success. Do you know your epic data? Do you know, your data will give you the path that you need to follow or the adjustments you need to make. So I knew I only had half the time, so I needed to do twice the work in that time. And so I would, back then I would do, 5 after 5, and I would do, 8 before 8.
Yeah.
I would start my day at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would be out there trying to walk in my first door at 7 a.m. Why? Because I knew between 7 and 8 a.m., the person that was in there, if I caught them, that's my person.
Those are probably your most successful approaches in business, right? Were before the business hours or after the business hours, right?
It's expressway to the decision maker, right? And then same thing, 5 after 5. Who leaves at 5? The gatekeeper. Who's still there? The business owner. So I had to start working smarter too.
Yeah.
In addition to harder, not
be strategic with your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So we get to a point with my dad. Get to the end of that year. He is qualified now to be on the transplant list. He's activated, which means, that's an odd feeling. You're waiting for somebody else to die so that your person can live.
Yeah.
You almost feel guilty.
Yeah.
So he's active on the list. We're waiting. We're hanging out in the RV at night, watching movies, playing cards, whatever. And he gets a call. I can see it on his face still. His kidney function dropped below the acceptable level by 2 points. And they don't mess around. If you don't hit all the parameters, once you fall outside of one, that's it.
You're off the list.
There's a lot of people that want that.
Yeah.
And so he dropped below the function level, and they said, that's it. And that was it. It was one phone call, a year of, involvement and sacrifice and all of that. And in 3 minutes, it was erased.
Wow.
And he said, let's go home. So unhooked the RV and packed up the things that we needed to pack up and started the trip back home. Now, the one good thing that came from it, he did get put on some experimental drugs and that he otherwise wouldn't have gotten. And I think that's what allowed him to extend his life another, 2 or 3 years. Without that, I think it would have been a lot shorter. But that's the silver cloud if I'm trying to find one, right?
Sure. Probably helped other people down the road too because of those results of that. They can apply it in different.
I'd like to think that somebody got the lungs that he was going to get that maybe was more deserving in terms of how long they were going to be able to live with them.
Sure.
His mortality would have been about 5 to 7 years. So I like to think that maybe some kid, somebody got it that
That's a hard conclusion and thought to come to, but
it is.
You can.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
That's beyond me. I'm a faithful person.
Yeah.
So that's not in my hands.
Right.
So, but yeah, we come back, and he says, Anthony, I appreciate you. You did everything you could. So at this point, there's nothing left. I want you to get back, and I want you to focus on your career, because he knew the sacrifice made.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think to a degree he felt bad about it. But I tried to make clear that there's being a successful son for him was a far higher priority and responsibility in my life than being a successful agency owner for the people at that point.
And you're going to have time.
And I have time.
In the future.
Right. And so I said, all right, Pop, I'm going to get after it. And so then went back to work full time. So
getting back into leadership.
Yeah. So I kept that same work ethic, of trying to maximize having a half a month to work versus a full month.
Yeah.
I kept that same mentality and just used the whole month. And in 3 months, I think I got my first promotion back to supervisor at that point. I think 3 months after that, I was back to agency director.
This is a rapid move back up. You knew the business.
I did, and I had goals.
But it probably took a lot of hook theory at this point, right?
Did,
Because you really think about the journey here. You make it to that level. You're the AO. You're the business owner.
Yeah.
You're in control completely. You sacrifice that to take care of your family.
Yeah.
And then, you get to this point where it's, okay, we've done everything we can. Now I'm going to get back into it. Well, you can't forget what you just went through, what you're still going through, right? Because you're still, your dad's still going through this. So it's got to be like, just hang it and go, right?
So hook got a little bigger.
Yeah.
A little more baggage.
Yeah.
Had to go from
put some anchors in the wall on that hook. Don't let it come out, right?
It wasn't the sticky hook anymore.
Yeah,
3 pounds. It was 30 pounds.
Yeah.
So one of the things I love about this business is it's fairly predictable. Like if if this, then this.
Yeah.
Like I knew even back then, before Epic, I would track my data with tick marks. And, one of the ways that we would do it on my team as an AD to make sure that we were logging walk-ins was you had to bring back business cards at the end of the week. So if you couldn't if you couldn't bring me back 40 or 50 business cards, then I had to assume you didn't do the walk-ins. And then they'd give me the business cards, and I would take my cursive initial and I would initial all of them. And that way...
Can't turn it back in.
You got it. Because I learned that once.
Give me 2 business cards. Give me 3 business cards, actually.
Oh, I see. You're back at ABC Widgets again for the 7th time in 2 weeks.
Hey, sometimes it's what it takes to close it, right?
Yeah. But yeah, so that was... So
you're following the numbers. It is very systematic. I think in a lot of things, it's systematic. If you want to be good at something, there's a formula to it.
Yeah.
Right. You have to have the mental toughness to commit to that.
Yeah.
Right. And to go through it. So you're following the formula.
Yep.
You're following the process. You get an opportunity to be an agency owner again.
I do. So yeah, worked my way back up. I don't know how many people can say they've held all the positions in the company twice.
Yeah.
So, I got it right the second time. And I think sometimes that's...
Well, I think you got it right the first time too. And you did a noble thing to take care of your family. So I think there was a lot of learning that probably you can lean on, but
yeah.
It wasn't a, hey, Tony, this isn't working out decision from, the home office or from leadership. It was you had to do this because this is what you had to. And that's a hard thing to do. A lot of people are just going to hang on and not want to do that either.
No, I had to weigh several things there, but at the end of the day, I couldn't do the things that I needed to do for my father.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't going to be a half-assed leader in my agency. I think the AO should be the example.
Yeah.
And at that point in my life, I couldn't be a good enough example that I think people would follow and want to grow to. So that was definitely a tough part. Then we come back, I get back to the agency owner position again, started as a partnership.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the first partnership for the company, right?
Yeah.
Learned in that process as well. Get about 2 years in as an agency owner, and then my dad passes away.
Mm.
So here we go again. I need a bigger hook.
Yeah.
Right? Now it's time.
Yeah.
Now it's time to put the one that holds 50 pounds up there.
Right.
Right. Then we work through that. 6 months later, we start having more personal things happen. Over a year period, we lose my wife's father. We lose my wife's mother, her stepdad.
Wow.
So in a 2-year period, we were down to one grandparent at that point. So that
change. It's a challenge.
That's a lot of mental toughness.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, though, the way I looked at it was, it's my turn. These people are not here now, and they were patriarchs, and so who's going to step up for the family and be able to help everybody? Well, I knew I had a career that could put me in a position to do that could financially give me the ability to help those in my family, right? And so I just leaned into it. When you have that adversity and you have to start making decisions. You hard decisions are usually the right decisions to make, right? Poor decisions are very easy to make. So when given a circumstance and you have two choices, almost the majority of the time, the right decision to be made is whichever the hardest one is.
Yeah.
Right? Because poor and bad decisions are real easy to make. It's those tough decisions that you make in life that shape you and mold you, and I think that's what helps increase your mental toughness. Mental toughness to me isn't just the state that I'm in right now. Your life as it unfolds, it gives you reps, like you're in the gym, right? You're getting stronger. And so you can choose to look at the things that are happening in your life as happening to you, or you can look at them as happening for you to grow. And all of the adversity that I've had in my life, all of the things that I've had to go through, all of those grew the mental toughness muscle that I have. And it allows me to flex that as I need it in life. And so don't run away from those things. Embrace them, because they're just making you a stronger person. And you will face more adversity. That's a given in life. So accept it, deal with it, internalize it, learn from it, and then draw on it as a source of strength in the future when the next thing comes. So
yeah, no, that's great. And Tony, I appreciate you sharing kind of your journey here. I think it's almost a case study in mental toughness and what it can do for you, and embracing it, as you said, right? Making those hard decisions, and maybe kind of at the end of the day, just put it on the hook and go to work.
That's
a hard thing to do.
Yeah. What's your other choice?
Yeah.
I've always had the mindset that we're going to get it done. Like, let's go get it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Tony, again, thank you so much for being here today. We got one last thing before we're done. You have behind you our prior guests have been sitting over your shoulder watching you here as we're going through. Everybody in the Level Up Lifestyle podcast gets a bobblehead to commemorate you being here, and then we keep one and we put the prior guests on display as well.
Some pretty good company.
There's some good company there over your right shoulder. Yeah. So your bobblehead is in a container ship somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. Okay. On its way here, we had a little bit of supply chain challenges, as you can appreciate, but it's coming to you.
All right.
And I just want to ask you kind of the same thing we ask everybody is, this is who you are today, maybe a culmination of all those challenges that you've overcome and the building of the mental toughness that you convey now. If this culmination of who you are today can go back and talk to yourself when you're just getting started, what do you tell yourself?
Ooh, that's a good one. And you're exactly right. I mean, we're ultimately a collection of the pieces of what people have given us through our life. That's who we are.
Yeah.
Just make sure you're collecting the right pieces from the right people. In your life. So if I could tell young bobblehead Tony, anything, it would be, stay the course, understand that life happens in the way that it happens for a reason, and that if you embrace the challenges and the changes that you're going to have in your life, you're going to be a better person. You're going to be a better leader. You're going to be a better husband, a better father. Let the fire of adversity mold you into the best version of yourself. That's
so good. So good. Well, thanks, Tony. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely, my friend.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope this episode has inspired you on your path to success. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next story. See you soon on the Level Up Lifestyle Podcast.